If you've been named as an executor, or you're thinking about taking on the role, one of the questions you might be asking yourself is, what are the risks for me? Because on the face of it, it can sound quite straightforward. You deal with the estate, follow the will, and that's it. But in reality, it is a legal role with responsibilities, and there are situations where things can go wrong if you're not careful. Now, that doesn't mean you should be worried, but it does mean it's important to understand where the risks are so you can manage them properly. So let me talk you through the main areas you need to be aware of, and if you are an executor or beneficiary and want more clear explanations like this, you'll find plenty more on my channel. First, just to reassure you, most estates are administered without any major issues, but knowing where problems can arise puts you in a much stronger position from the start. As an executor, you are legally responsible for administering the estate properly, and what that means in practice is that if something goes wrong, you may be expected to put it right. In some situations, that can mean covering a financial shortfall yourself. So, for example, if money is distributed incorrectly or something is missed, the responsibility doesn't just disappear, it can come back to you personally, even if you haven't inherited from the estate. That's why it's important to approach the role carefully, even though you may just be trying to help. You are also responsible for dealing with the tax position of the estate. That includes things like final income tax and, where applicable, inheritance tax. If something is missed or a valuation turns out to be incorrect and there's an underpayment, that issue can come back to you. This is particularly important if you've already distributed the estate, because recovering funds at that stage can be difficult, so it's important to make sure everything is properly checked before moving forward. Before you distribute anything, you need to make sure all valid debts have been identified and paid. That could include things like credit cards, loans, care fees, or mortgages. If you distribute the estate and a creditor appears afterwards, you may have to deal with that personally, so the order in which you deal with things really matters. It's very common to feel pressure to move things along, especially if beneficiaries are waiting and putting the pressure on. But distributing the estate too early is one of the biggest risks. If everything hasn't been fully confirmed, tax, debts, liabilities, you could find yourself needing to correct things later. And again, that responsibility may fall on you. You also need to make sure the estate is distributed correctly. That means interpreting the will properly, identifying all beneficiaries, and making sure nothing is overlooked. If someone who should have benefited is missed, they may have the right to challenge it, and that can lead to personal claims against you as executor.
There's also the practical side to think about. Administering an estate takes time. In many cases, you're looking at 6 to 12 months, sometimes longer if things are more complex. During that time, you'll be dealing with paperwork, communication, and ongoing decisions. So it's not just responsibility, it's also a commitment of your time and energy. You may also find yourself managing expectations between family members. That can include questions about timing, disagreements about decisions, or concerns about fairness. If there's a dispute, you are responsible for managing that situation and protecting the estate. And importantly, you need to remain neutral. You can't favour one beneficiary over another. If you're also a beneficiary, which is very common, you'll need to balance your personal interest with your legal duties. That means making decisions in a way that is fair to everyone, not just yourself. And that's where transparency and careful record-keeping become particularly important. The good news is that these risks can be managed. There are a few key things you can do. Take your time, particularly before distributing the estate. Make sure everything has been properly confirmed first. Keep clear records of what you're doing and why, and don't hesitate to seek professional support if you're unsure about anything. Many executors work with a solicitor, and those costs are paid from the estate, not by you personally. There are also situations where insurance can be put in place, for example if there's uncertainty around missing documents or potential claims. And it's also worth remembering you don't have to take on the role. If you've been named as an executor, you can step down before you start acting. So the simplest way to think about it is this. There are risks in being an executor, but they are manageable if you take a careful and structured approach. And most estates are dealt with without any major issues, but make sure to get legal advice if you are unsure on any aspect of the estate. If you've been named as an executor and you're trying to understand what's involved, having a clear structure really helps. So I've put together a free executor's checklist that walks through everything step by step. It helps you understand what to do and when. You can download it using the link in the description. And if you'd like clear, practical guidance on probate in England and Wales, feel free to subscribe. I'll continue to explain these topics in a straightforward way.